in this video I want to talk about pretentious bhakti. This is based on something that Prabhupada said. And Prabhupada said, if one is a devotee and his purpose of service is to gain some position or gain some power, he's not a devotee. And when I read that, I thought, if Prabhupada says he's not a devotee, we have to pay attention to what Prabhupada means here. And I think there's two levels to pay attention. One is the personal level. If I have these kinds of ambitions, this is outside the realm of bhakti, or at least outside the realm of pure devotional service, then I should not even call myself a devotee. And secondly, if I have this mentality, then this could ruin ISKCON, because if people get into positions of leadership who are motivated by power, influence, prestige, and so forth, it contaminates the organization, because the organization should be dominated by the mood of service and humility in the leadership. So we have these two levels. And so when I read this, it kind of shook me up a little bit, and I thought, okay, we should talk a little more about this. Now, if we go to Prabhupada's first statement that they're not a devotee, I'm sure we could add other things to that list of desires that would identify one's heart not as a devotee. And so Prabhupada is trying to make us aware that we can't masquerade around just because I can do some service, or I'm good at speaking, or I'm good at kirtan, or whatever I'm good at. But at heart, I harbor attachments for position, power, or other forms of sense gratification, where at the same time I'm pretending to the public that I'm Krishna conscious. This in Prabhupada's mind is going to destroy our movement if we allow this to become rampant, or even allow it in any way. Of course, you might say, but this is natural human nature and we have this. Okay, we do have it, but we have to be aware of it, and we have to be aware that this is pretentious, and we have to be aware that this is something which Prabhupada has spoken against again and again and again, because Prabhupada is delivering to us bhakti, not just ordinary bhakti. Prabhupada is delivering to us pure bhakti. Everything Prabhupada's teaching us is about pure bhakti, not just bhakti. It's not talking about karma mishra bhakti, bhakti just to get liberated, or to create, a better material life, or jnana mishra to get liberated. Prabhupada's talking about bhakti that will please Krishna, that's pure. That's what he's giving. And so we cannot do any other kind of bhakti. We should not do any other kind of bhakti other than what Prabhupada has given. And especially in the position of leadership, this is very, very dangerous. And we saw something that happened in the early days after Prabhupada left, that people were given positions of power, many of whom could not maintain that position because it went somewhat to their head and they misused it. And material desires started to grow, and they started to mistreat others, offend others. And then Krishna eventually removed them and said, no. The way I saw it was Krishna was saying, no, you cannot have that mentality and be a leader in ISKCON. It's not allowed. We will not let you do that. And so I think we should take heed of that if we're moving up the corporate ladder, so to speak, and Krishna is giving us positions of influence and power, which he will give you over time, if you're a sincere devotee and you stay in the movement, we have to be very, very careful that there should be no motive to gain influence, prestige, power, or anything else by that position. That is, to me, that's like a knife in Prabhupada's heart that is so destructive, because it's the antithesis to everything Prabhupada taught about pure bhakti, and the antithesis to everything Prabhupada wanted to see in a leader. Now, Prabhupada said something which is worth noting. When he was asked why the Gaudiya Math failed, and one of the reasons he said was because they were concerned with disciples. Who would get the disciples? Who would get more disciples? So it was concerned with influence and power. And so, to put it, I guess, more simply, he was saying the desire for power and influence was what destroyed it. Of course, Gaudiya Math still exists in some form. When he says it was destroyed from the form it was in during the time of Bhaktisiddhanta, which would have been a better form for it to exist in. It still exists in some form. It's not totally destroyed. That form was destroyed, but it was destroyed by people who wanted position and power. And so, pure bhakti is nadanam najanam nasundari. That's what we're trying to cultivate. And so I feel it really is important for us to recognize that when Prabhupada said, if a devotee wants position and power, he's not a devotee. What does that mean? That has nothing to do with what Prabhupada came to teach us. That has nothing to do with pure bhakti. It has nothing to do with what it means to be a devotee. So, pretension means even sometimes we're pretending to ourselves that we're more Krishna conscious than we are. So it's not just about pretending to the public. We don't want to pretend to ourselves that actually, no, I don't have an agenda, when I may have a very big agenda. No, I'm pure when I'm not pure. No, I'm humble when I'm not humble. We have to be honest with ourselves. What is our motive? Why are we doing what we do? Is it that I want position? Is that I want power? Do I want recognition? Is this what's motivating me? You may say, no, it's not. Is it motivating you a little bit? Is it a concern a little bit? It has to be eliminated. That's what Prabhupada wants, and that's pure Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.